Hey everyone, welcome back. Welcome back. I hope you all had as much fun as I did. You all have been so kind, and I've just had the best time reading your comments and your messages and reconnecting with you and realizing how much I've missed the conversations about real life stuff. You know, I debated whether I should be as transparent as I was when we started all of this, because maybe I thought, well, maybe nobody wants to watch somebody do crafting that has Parkinson's in their handshake. But you know what? I got so many messages from those of you that have different stages of life issues, but that it encouraged you, and that made my heart so glad. Not that you have problems, but that by being transparent and going, hey, let's do it anyway, and let's do the best we can, and let's be a reflection of our Creator, particularly around this Easter season. And that so many of you all said, you know, that just was where you were at in life. And that really encouraged me. So today, what I want us to do is finish making the cover up. We're not going to do the topper on it, but we're going to fix the inside. And then I want us to select our signatures. Those are the pages. A signature is a group of pages that we will sew into here, and we're going to sew them in. So hopefully by the end of this video, we will have a ready to decorate journal. Are you ready? If by any chance this is your first time, hi, I'm Jan, and I love to craft, and I am learning new ways to craft. And a few days ago, we actually made the cover of this journal. And if you are new, first of all, let me ask you to subscribe so that you don't miss any notifications. And secondly, you may want to go back and watch part 1, because this is part 2. So in part 1, we got to this point. We covered our Amazon packaging, we painted it, and we put some lace on over it. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the inside cover pages down. And I told you that I was just going to use some scrapbook paper, because this is our first journal together. I want it to be as easy peasy as possible. So I'm going to try to keep the steps as simple as we possibly can. You will notice that I have already stitched around the edge. You do not need to do that. That is not a requirement. One of the things about junk journaling is there's very few rules. There's a few suggestions, things that I will say, ask me how I know. I think I ought to get a t-shirt with that put on it, because one of the things is I've learned practically everything the hard way. So, but there's not rules, there's preferences. And if you do not like to sew, or you don't have a sewing machine, you are not going to not be able to make this journal along with us. But one of the things that I do before I sew in my signatures is I do my prep work, which is I do my sewing around my pages. Now, I don't sew around every page. I sew around pages that are heavier, that can take the sewing. And then I like to ink my edges. It's an old scrapbooker, card maker habit that I have, and I'm going to show you me doing it. I am using walnut distress ink stain to do that, and a little dauber. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit, and then while I do this, because I think you want to see at least every step. You may not want to watch me do every last blooming part of it to every page, but I know you probably want to say, because if this is your first time, would you leave a comment down below if this is the first time that you have put a junk journal together? I used to do mini albums, and I love them. I still do mini albums. I still do all the things. So we're gonna, in the coming weeks and months, we're gonna do all the things. But I wanted to start out with something that was really helpful for me as I kind of jumped back into the crafting world. You know, sometimes with other kinds of crafting, there's a lot of detail, and you've got to be really precise. And I have some great doctors that are helping me get my Parkinson's under control. So I'm able to do more than I used to be able to do, but you know, there's still challenges, and there's days when I can't. Now, you may be asking what this particular paper is, and it is from a collection by 49 and Market. It's called the Vintage Artistry Serenity. It's by Katie Pretier. Oh, she's so, I mean, just gorgeous. It just kind of, when I was going through my stash, you know, I loved all the old book pages, and I'm such a blue girl, but it had a vintagey look to it. And then it had this little chipboard set. So I pulled that out as well. And I'm not using it for any of my pages, other than I used one of these 12 by 12s for the cover. But when we get to making the ephemera and all that kind of fun stuff, having some smaller scale scrapbooking pages or printables would be really fun. So I want you to raid your stash. I'm not asking you to go out and shop. I'm asking you to shop your stash. And I'll show you a couple of others. I found this one, this little collection that I thought was really pretty. Looked very springy. This Cartabella Flora one, gorgeous. You may see it come, I didn't even open it up. That was helpful, Jan. Let's see if I can get it open. Ugh. But you know, just go look what you have and see, like, all the right colors, right? You know, so I'm probably this one and 49 and Market are going to be my go-to for extra pages when I want to make pockets and other things. So but hopefully you've kind of settled on your basic pages. If not, maybe me going through and showing you what my choices were will help you with that. So let's get this on here. We're going to use our Fabrifix because we do have fabric and paper. Fabrifix is silicone glue that is great for fabric to fabric, fabric to paper, paper to paper. It's quick drying, quick grabbing. I think there's Fabrifix and there's Fabri-Tac, and I'm not sure what the chemical difference is. I've used both and they're kind of the same. But I will remind you again that I put it in this Sugar Bell icing piping bottle. I have it listed in the list of supplies because it has this metal tip and the plastic is a lot easier to squeeze. and anything that we can do to make that easier is a good thing. Okay, so I'm gonna re-answer some of these questions because I actually had a couple of you ask me about this. This is just a sewing pen, a quilting pen. It's a little bit longer. You want it to be stainless steel. And this is a knitting needle cap. And I just put it down in, yeah, do that, Jan, on camera. That's, well, we're going to use this. I don't have to do that. Huh. This is my project. I'll do what I want, the way I want. Okay, so we want to be really good about getting it around all the edges. And you'll see I've got some strings dangling over there, and that's just my preference. I like a little bit of a grungier look. That is my preference. But so you can cut the strings right down and tie them, or you can leave them long. This is your project. You do it your way. Whether you're going to do this as a memory book or maybe as a prayer journal or something like that, you want to take pleasure in sitting down with the thing that you've made. Now I'm going to put extra glue right down the center. And because this is thicker paper, I am not worrying about this kind of being globby. If I were using thinner paper, or if you were to choose to cover the inside with some fabric, you still would use this Fabrifix glue. But I would tell you that you would want to get your fingers a little messy and smush it all out because you will see all the lumps and bumps. However, because this is a really pretty heavy scrapbook stock, I don't have to worry about that. I'm for easy peasy. And I'm just going to line it up. And now's when I'm smushing it. I'm going to smush it really, make sure all the, particularly the edges, are good and connected. And Fabrifix will grab really quick, but give it 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, as my grandmother used to say. Wait once. Whatever your family's be patient for a minute is. And while that is drying, I'm going to leave it open. I don't want to bend it while it's wet. That will make the paper pull away. But I'm going to set aside and I'm going to show you the pages that I've chosen for my signature. Okay, I'm going to start by showing you the kind of normal pages that I have chosen. I told you I was going to use some of the Amazon packaging, and what I did was I took it and folded it in half and then cut it down so that it would fit inside my signature. Everything doesn't have to line up perfectly because I'm going to show you some fun embellishment things where we may put some little ruffles or some lace or something down the edge. So, and not everything has to be the same size. You may find that you have some envelopes that you want to put together in there. So anyway, Amazon packaging, I have all my printables, And one of the reasons that I distress my printables is particularly because I have to cut mine down. There is the white core edge, and that's just not my favorite. And so one of the ways to help that disappear is to just use your distress ink and a dauber. I have a couple of scrapbook pages that like I told you that I was going to do from the memorandum. And then I have my other printables. I've had another kind of ledger printable that I decided to print out, and I want to show you because these are junk journals, and we use what we had. So I set it to do back-to-back printing on this one, and I wanted it twice because I know I'm going to have 2 signatures. And you might be saying to yourself, Jan, do you notice that those 2 things, one of these things is not like the other? Yes, yes, and yes again. Apparently my ink cartridge was running low, and you know what? I could have just put a new one in, but I looked at it and went, it's kind of Easter color. So I decided to keep it the way it was. So all those are just kind of normal. Print them out, fold them in half, get them stitched if you're going to stitch them. That's kind of our normal stuff. Then there's a few things that are not as traditional. I won't say normal, as traditional. I had this songbook that actually I was able to take the pages out, and I just cut them down to size. So that's something that you can do. If you wanted, if it was really long, you could fold it up and make a little pocket or something out of it. But it really was just the itty bittiest little bit of too much. So that I did that one down to size. This was some music paper that I had that I wanted to use, but I didn't. It was just so big, and when I folded it this way, I don't mind the staff running this way. So I have a couple of sheets of that. And then I have an old hymn book that I have used for years to journal in, and I went and found a couple of Easter hymns in it, and I thought what I would do is, let me move these things out of the way, because it's really thin, and so it isn't going to hold up to much embellishment. So I took just a piece of plain, this is straw paper, but you can use cardstock, and I'm going to add it to this straw paper that's folded into the half. Now, this is called my glue book, and for paper to paper, particularly thin paper, I like the Scotch Create glue stick. It's really gooey and good. And you may be saying, what are you doing with all of these that you use up? We're going to make things out of them. They're going to be bases for part of our ephemera. So I'm just going to put a good slathering. I don't know why I'm using all my grandmother's terms today. I'm just going to cover this really, really good. And I use the glue book because it keeps everything else on my desk from getting sticky. It's such a good thing, isn't it? Okay, I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna put this down, and the most important part is for me to just line up where that edge is going to be, and then come out and smush. Get all your air bubbles out. And I'm going to let that dry. You could wrap it around. We can trim it off. You can do so many things, but I'm going to just let it dry. I'm going to cut it off. Okay. I have 2 of those over here. So this one I'm going to put on the back side of this. So I'm going to get my glue book. When I Survey is the song that I chose. And we're going to give it a good gluing. This holds really, really well for this kind of, we're basically collaging this onto this other piece of paper. And you know what? We're going to do some collage when we get to the ephemera. So I want you to get your glue stick, and I want you to get an old book that this one is something I picked up at, it's a Patricia Cornwell. I picked it up at Goodwill. It is, again, the important thing, this is the where my stitching is going to be, so I want to make sure that this is lined up as close as I can, and put it down, and then we'll set it aside and we'll let it dry. And I think we'll probably trim it off as well, but for right now we're just going to let it be. And I want to show you the other, I think I showed you the Peter Rabbit and the Edith Holden book pages. And you know what that is? Those are a couple of pages that I really wanted to use, but when I tore them out of the book, they no longer were connected. And you've got options, and you might think, let's just run some washi down the center of that. I will tell you that washi is not necessarily your friend. As great as it is to decorate with, and we will use it plenty. We will use it plenty. This is some tea dye paper, and I think this is pretty close. And I just want kind of a raggedy edge, so I'm just going to tear it. I'm going to connect this with something that's got a little bit of substance. Now, this was just copy paper. I mean, copy paper, not copy paper. There's nothing, it feels a little bit thicker. I think what I'm going to do is use my ruler and just tear it, and I want to do about an inch, and I'm going to need 2 pieces, I'm going to get me another section and put that out of the way. And I'm going to put this down the middle, and that will hold those pages together so that I can put them into the signature. Okay? So I'm just folding this in half. Ish. Ish is my new favorite word, I think. Okay, so let's fold the other one. It's going to need to be folded the other way. One's going to go on the inside, one's going to go on the outside. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to use our glue book again, and we're going to run this down this side, and we're going to turn it over and run it down that side. And I am being very liberal with the glue. Okay, and I'm going to turn the page in so it can be drying on itself. Move it out of the way so you don't have to see it. And now let's put, we've got these two pages. Let's put them together and open this up. And as much as we can, let's just put one side of it down on here. And we're going to put the other side, pick this up and put the other side down, matching up the pages. Smush it. Now we'll open it back up and give it a good press. And you can see that's going to give us a place to stitch through. Now, to make it really good and strong, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Only this time, I'm going to do it on this side of the paper. Sure you have good, lots of gooey glue. One of the advantages of using the book, either some old book paper or some tea-dyed paper, is that it kind of blends in with the pages. So there we go. And we can fold that, and then I'm going to open it back up and let it dry. Now I'm going to do the Peter Rabbit book, and just like I've done this, and then I'll be back and we'll start selecting the order of our signatures. I forgot there was one other thing I wanted to show you. I had some ledger paper that just came. I just got it at Staples, and it looks super, super, super new. And I thought it would be a great way to show you how I coffee stain things kind of on the go, rather than doing a big batch of coffee dyeing or tea dyeing. I will do a video at some point on that for you, but we're doing the easy peasy way. So I take one of my distress sprayer bottles and I put coffee, instant coffee, into here, water, and about a tablespoon, fill it up with water. I do about a centimeter worth of ground coffee, depending on whether you are using dark roast or light roast. Fill it up with water and then put a tablespoon of alcohol. The alcohol helps it dehydrate or evaporate, not dehydrate. And then very quickly, just by spraying it and drying it with the heat tool. I'm going to do that. I hope this won't totally annoy your ears. But the alcohol helps it dry quite a bit. And we're going to be doing other things to this paper, but I just don't want to put it in looking totally new. So I'm just trying to take a little bit of the whiteness off of it. We may do some distress stains, we may stencil on it, but what I have learned, ask me how I know, is that you want to do these kinds of things, preparing your pages before you put them in your signature. This would be a hard thing to do after you already had it in the pages. It would spray onto your other pages. I'm going to finish drying this and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm giving the coffee dyed paper just a moment more to dry. I want to show you it's mostly dry. The coffee staining kind of changes it and it sounds crinkly. I love that. But you will know you want it to be perfectly dry before you put it into your signature. And the way to know, I mean, this looks dry. To my fingertips, it feels dry, but the way to tell is to put the back of your hand on it. And if it feels just a little bit cool, it means it's not 100% dry. So while I talk to you about something else, I'm just going to let that sit over there. It'll be dry into just really quickly. For those of you that are using printables, I put my 3 favorite kinds of paper down in the supply list. You may already be a champ at this and totally expert and know what you like, but some of you are new, and so I thought maybe I would share with you the 3 types of paper that I use for printing out printables. For those of you that are new, I am using my 2003 Easter Printable collection that's available in my coffee shop. That's down in the description below, but you don't have to use what you have. Shop your stash. Okay, so if I'm going to be printing on vellum, I love Staples inkjet and laser jet vellum paper. It's nice and opaque, but it's got some weight to it. I don't know what the deal is about me and the sounds of crinkling paper, but I love it. So that is the my preferred. I have found a very similar brand on Amazon, and I've linked that, but you want it for sure to say that it is inkjet and laser printable. If you just take regular vellum paper and put it through your copier, you are going to mess up your copier, and I don't want to be responsible for that. The other thing is just regular lightweight cardstock, copy paper. Now, I do not use this for my signature pages, except for if I'm tea dyeing. So I tea dye this. I will print out my printables if I'm going to be collaging with them, and we are going to be collaging. And one of the great things about using a printable collection is that you can print it as much as you want on whatever you want. And so I have printed out my main pages all double-sided that I'm going to use in my signatures, and then I've printed them again on copy paper, because copy paper is thin and it's great for collaging and it's great for making ephemera with. So that's the second kind of paper. And the third is this Hammerhill cover, bright white cover stock. I have found that it gives me, it's not super heavy. I don't like really super heavy pages because I don't want my journals to be too bulky. But you can see it's got a little bit of heft to it. I will print out anything that is ephemera so that it has some substance to it, and then I will print out my printable pages that I'm going to use as signatures on this. So those are the three kinds that I have. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. I know that we're trying to get this journal put together before Easter, and we are moving at the speed of a fast turtle. But I do know that we're covering a lot of new material for you, and so I want you to feel free to contact me and let me know about any questions that you might have. Okay, so let's look at the various types of papers that we have, and we're going to divide them into two groups. That's my first. Sorry. Had some down here on the floor. Who knows where I put them all. Okay, so these are dry now. Those are dry. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at each piece, and I'm going to put it in a one or a two pile. They don't necessarily have to be even. And at this point, I'm not choosing the order that they're going to be in. I'm just saying, this is signature 1, this is signature 2. So I kind of have two that are like this, so I'm going to do that. I've got two of these. I've got music page. I've got, that's a regular page. I've got, let me find another one of those kinds of pages. Put one over here. I'm going to put a doily. Put a doily. We did two of these kinds of signatures. And you know what? We didn't cut those off, so let's just do that right now. If you prefer to use a trimmer, please feel free to do that. I have found, this is something new for me. I used to like the shorter Tim Holtz scissors, but I have really fallen in love with these longer scissors. They make, for me, making a straight cut a lot easier. Okay, so there's one. Throw that away. And this one I actually lined up pretty well. So we just need to cut that part away. Okay. Here we go. So we're done trimming those things up, and we've got those. I have two vellum sheets. One of them is a print off of my printable, and you can see how lovely that vellum really does print. You can see through it, so it's got that that translucence to it, but it's substantive. And then I took a page from the Wildflowers, see which is that's the way the writing goes, from the Tim Holtz Wildflowers Vellum Pack. So we did that. And we've got, did we already put the pink one like this in here? We did. I should have put that over here. We're going to put those. Going to put one of each of these. I'm putting that and that. And that is, those are my two signatures. Now I'm going to set this one aside for right now, and I'm going to decide what order I want to put things in. And I've already kind of decided that I want It's Friday but Sunday's Coming to be the very first thing. So I will do that. And then I'm kind of thinking I'm going to do a vellum page. And you want to kind of look to see how things look with each other, because they're going to be next to each other. And it's going to look nice. I'm going to put this in here. You know what? I think after that I want to put a doily. And so there's a couple ways you can use doilies. You can just fold them in half, and that's what I think I'm going to do with this one. But you could also fold it at on the diagonal and have a really fun shaped page. Again, for me, that's the joy of junk journaling. We are not confined by any particular constraints of how the pages go. Let's see. I think I'll put one of these ledger pages in. I'm going to put the cute little ducky in here. One of my music sheets. Let's see. I think I want this to be the center. I think. Let's look. Yeah, I think that would be a really lovely center spread. So, where are we? We're in the middle here. We've got our music paper. Let's put, I think this will be nice next to that. Put our bunny page. And then let's put our Edith Holden. And you can see they're not all the same depth, and that's okay, because some of these pages we may extend. We may end up cutting some of them off. We don't have to worry about that right now. There is no worrying in journaling. Okay, let's work on our other one. Okay, so let's see. One thing that I do like to do is look to see, this is the last page. What's the first page going to be? And I think I'm going to use this because he is not here, will therefore be the very last page in my journal, which is the joy of Easter. You know, the sadness of our sin and our need for a Savior is why Easter is so significant, because he who was without sin gave his life on the cross. But if that's where the story ended, that would be just tragic. He would have been a good man and a wise man, but he would not have been our Savior. And so I want my final page to be he is not here. I'm also thinking about maybe doing something with this on the cover, so I don't know. But when I'm doing my signatures, I always look to see what 2 pages are going to be next to each other. So I'm going to do that. And then I think I'm going to take one of my scrapbooking pages and take my vellum page and take my, this one goes this way. I have a round doily for this side, so we'll just fold it in half, put it in the center. I have my Happy Accident Easter ledger. I have some music paper. I have another, I'm going to put another one of our coffee dyed. And then for the very center, I'm going to do the Peter Rabbit. So that means I've got to put that somewhere else, because this is about when the Velveteen Rabbit realized he became a real bunny. He always thought he was, I don't know if you've read the story, but it is just precious. And so I want that to be the very center. So before that goes in the center, I'm going to put my packaging. Then I'm going to put this. So there we go. Okay, so we have our 2 signatures. Now what do we do? Well, what I like to do is I want to make sure that they are, before I start poking holes and sewing, I want to take a thin ruler, put it in the center, and make sure that I've got it down as far as, you know, because we're stacking them up, the ones that are in the center are going to be out further, and I get them as even as I want them. I want to make sure that I have my pages right where I want them, because we're getting to the real stuff here, folks. We're about to do some sewing. And I use these big clips. You can use clamps, but I have found that if I will put one on the top, on the front, and one on the bottom of the back, that keeps everything and it being on the top reminds me that it is the front, it's the top. Ask me how I know that you want to have some sort of marking. You could do a little T for top with a pencil. I've sewn my signatures in upside down, so I've had lots of extra sewing experience. So let's get this second one ready. And we do that just by putting our ruler down in the center and getting everything nice and tight and evenly spaced. So last time, to do a quick check to make sure you have things in the order you want them in. And I'm going to put one of my things on the top, and for the back, I'm going to put one on the back. Okay, I'm going to move this off because using the mat becomes helpful at this point. The other thing that becomes very helpful is some grid paper. So I just take a piece of graph paper and I'm going to make a template. Now this is the part where people get all nervous and scared. I got nervous and scared, so I'm not going to tell you not to get nervous and scared, but you know what? It's paper and it's thread, and we can do it again. So I don't want you to get too wigged out. So let me show you my favorite tools for this. I have a friend of mine that's actually working on making a 3D printable book cradle, which I'm kind of outing her that she's doing it. I am so excited because that will make this whole process a lot easier. This is another tool, a crocodile, and this is the crocodile Big Bite. There's the regular little crocodile, but this one allows us to go all the way to the center of our journal, and so that's why it's my favorite. But I am going to use the smaller hole. I don't know if you can see, there's a 3/16 and 1/8, and then up here is if we're going to use brads, and we'll use brads when we're doing ephemera, but for right now I'm going to use the 1/8. So I'm going to bring in, if you don't have the crocodile, you can use an awl, and really as thin as our pages are, this would be very satisfactory, or a pokey tool, or whatever, you know, an ice pick, whatever you have. This is just, I have found over the years, I've used these for years because they're just, it's a great little craft investment. They're not exactly inexpensive, but I use it all the time and it's really easy on my hands. So I choose to go that direction. Okay, so the thing that we want to do is first we want to set up a template in our journal. So the first thing I'm going to do is I love using the centering ruler. This is the Tim Holtz centering ruler. If you have a quilting ruler, that will work as well. And I want you to see that this is really well, just in the time that we've been working together, it has dried really nicely. So I am looking at this and it's a little bit more than 9 inches. So I know that about 4.5 is going to be our center. I want to find our center. There's a reason I did not become anything that had to do with math. Okay, so we have 2 signatures, so we need to, this is our center line, so I'm going to come over about 1/4 inch from our center line. And we're going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So I'm going to put 1 mark in at the very center part. And then I'm going to come up about 1.5 inches, because remember, we have some small pages. You can do more if you can do a 5-hole pamphlet stitch. There's all kinds of information and videos on this, getting this set up and doing different kinds of stitching. We're going to sew through the outside of the cover, so make my dots, put T up here because that's important. And then here's what I do. Now I know some of you all are noticing that those are not totally even. I'm going to kind of just even them up a little bit. And before I do anything else, I'm going to mark the center. And I'm going to mark this. And this is going to help me create my marks for sewing. Now we're going to take our crocodile. And people ask me, how do you do it? I put my head down to the side. So you're going to excuse me for just a second. And make sure, I don't know if you can see my pulled up ponytail. We've got our first little hole, and I'm going to come over here, do this, and the only way I can do it is by looking at the side. That's just all there is. And it seems to have caught on the lace. That's okay, not a problem. Turn it around, and I'm going to go all the way to the center. And I'm looking at it from the side, and I'm putting that hole in, and then I'm going to go over here and do this one. Then let's do these last two. This will be the hardest part of the whole. Well, the math was the hardest part for me because, you know, those of you that are math people, and you can see it's gone all the way through the holes. So I'm going to set that aside, and now let's take our signatures, and we want to kind of find our center for those as well. And put that down, match our center line. Okay, I'm going to move that away, and I'm going to mark the center hole, mark where this one's going to be, mark where this one's going to be. We're going to do that for our second signature. Actually, this is our first signature as well. We want to find the center. Make sure it's lined up. We are, because we've got some pages that are a little bit bigger, some that are a little smaller. Putting a mark in the center of each of those. Okay. Okay, let's bring our crocodile back in. And we're going to line it up over those holes. Just do one more fold to make sure we're good. Sorry guys, I have to kind of look at this, get down at the side and look. There we go. We're going to do the center one. turn it around, do the other one. And I will tell you that I leave the clamps on while I'm sewing. It just kind of helps with the whole thing. So move that one out of the way. Let's do this one. Turn it around. And if I leave my clamps on, it helps me remember which one goes at the top. Okay, so there we go. Got both of our signatures done. I'm gonna move through all of our little extras away. And I usually use a linen thread to sew, but because this is an Easter album, I thought I might use some heavy duty embroidery thread, and I was trying to decide between using the white because it would kind of disappear, or the blue because it would kind of show up, and I've decided I'm going to go with the blue. I'll put a link to the linen thread that I use. This is just a tapestry needle. Super simple. Where's our cover? I want to make sure we got our top up here. And you want to do about 3.5 lengths for the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. I'll give you a little extra. Now we'll see if Jann can thread this needle without her needle threader, because it's in the other room. Oh, I bet I can. I just bet I can. Maybe. If I pinch it really tight. The joy of doing things in front of all of your friends while they watch you. Needle threader. Note to self, bring the needle threader. Try this one more time, and if I can't get it through, I can't. Okay, I'm gonna go grab my needle threader. I'll be right back. Note to self, always bring your needle threader. This is a clove. I'll link this down below. It's my favorite. I use it for all of my stitching. It's by Clover. And you know, those other little wire ones, they are just a mess. They're a mess. I break them more often than I fix them. They work. So I love this. Love this threader. My eyes can see it. I don't even have to put my readers on for that. Okay, now I'm going to start at the back. It's just a habit that I have. Just start at the back. And one of the things I do is I put a little bit of my thread underneath here so I don't pull it all the way through. And we're going to start in the center. We're going to go through. We're going to go through to the outside of the journal, and we're going to pull this taut. Leave that. We're going to come up here. We're going to find our hole, go up, going to pull that kind of tight. Okay, it looks like I went in the wrong hole. It looks like I went in the wrong hole. You know? It looked kind of wackadoo to me, but sometimes, but it's paper and thread. We can redo it. So we've gone down through the center. We're going to come up through the top. I bet you saw me doing that. I bet you did. I just bet you did. So where's the hole? Here we go. Don't want that one. There's a hole over here somewhere. Right there. Ah! Goodness gracious. Glad we caught that before I'd done the whole thing. Okay, and now we're going to come back up through the center. There we go. We want to kind of make that, pull it tight, not super tight. We're going to go all the way down to the bottom. Do you hear the sad kitties that are like, can you get out of our room? Yes, I'm almost done. I'll be out of your room in no time. Okay. Pulling that tight. We're going to go back to the center. And the one thing you want to do is be careful not to split your thread. And this is kind of the bridge, and you go on one side, come up, you go down on one side and up on the other, and then tighten it up so that it's good, not shaky. Okay, don't want to put a lot of strain on it, but you want to make it good and taut. And then you tie a square knot, which is right over left, left over right, or whichever you do first, do the other second. And then, because I don't trust myself, I always do a third one. And if you want to, you can tie a bow, or you can let these dangle down, and later we can put a little charm on them. So that's probably what I'm going to do. So I'm going to move on to my next signature and get my thread. Here we go. And we're almost done, folks. So I want you all to be, if you are working along with me, go ahead and get your pages put together. Pick them out, get them ready. If you have to do any lengthening or shortening of your pages, go ahead and do that. And get them, where's my, I'm sorry, you can hear the happiness of the dog greeting the people. But we carry on. We carry on. Okay, so let's get this put up. Oh, of course I have a knot. Of course I have a knot. Of course. It wouldn't be Jann. I have to show you all the things that could go wrong, right? That's my job, right? Okay. I always put my last signature in first, then I put my next signature in. And we're going to do it just like we did before. I start in the middle and I go to the outside. Pull the thread up. And just kind of make it so I won't manage to pull everything. We'll go up here. We know this time where this is. I have to kind of look from the side. Sorry, I'm out of frame. I'm out of practice. You guys have been so gracious. I'm gonna get accustomed to all of these things. I'm going to get accustomed to this area. It's all gonna be good. It's all gonna be good because we're back together. We're having fun. Do you like doing the premiere thing where we get to watch it together? Because those of you that want to watch it later obviously can watch later. It's no big whoop. But I had fun with the few of you that were able to do that. So remember, we put the highway down the middle, the 2 threads on either side. We pull it tight. Just make sure we've got it in there good and solid. Now we're going to do our tie. Right over left. I'm doing the opposite, right? Left over right. Makes the knot strong as might, but I'm doing it 3 times really well. And I'm going to bring it down and give us a little extra to play with later. And I can take these off because we now have our signatures sewn in. Guys, we have a journal. We have a journal. We're ready to decorate. So, and you can see we've got some pages that are a little bit long. And you know what? If you don't like that, feel free to just chomp them off and make sure that they're all even. But I kind of like it. I kind of like it, and I'll add some things to these shorter pages to make them a little bit longer. So we've got some roughly things that are out here. But we've got our basic journal put together. It's Friday, but Sunday's coming. And we can just flip through and look at our pages. They're all different. They sound different. I love those two together. The daffodils and the Easter basket. Love that. I didn't want to cut this off. If we need to, we can fold it. But we'll decide that when we get to the decorating part. Today was about getting it into our signatures in here. And we did. We did it. So we're all in here. One of the reasons I like using scrapbooking paper for this is it's super strong. Second, it's pretty when you open it up. And I like there being space because this is going to become a little bit of a chunky monkey as we go. So We have all of our pages in here now. I love that crinkle of that. I'm still laughing about my Easter colored page, but you know what? I like it. We've got vellum and our last 2 pages, and he is not here. So guys, we got our first journal actually made. So if you work on catching up with this so that you can work with us on the ephemera, we're going to probably do a couple sessions of ephemera because there's so many different things, and I want to show you how to make some pockets. I want to show you how to make these paper clips. I want us to do collage. So we're going to do some different things, and then the last thing we'll do is we'll make the topper for our cover. Guys, it's been so much fun. I hope you're having a good time. I am really enjoying this process with you. And if I can be any help, please don't hesitate to send me an instant message or Facebook me or send me a message on Instagram. Be happy to help you. Most of you have all found ways to get your questions to me. So I think you're going to manage just fine. Love you guys. Praying for you. Hope you have a blessed day. Bye-bye.